I'm Christopher Titus, and this is Armageddon Update. You know what I'm saying. Look, we work hard here at the Armageddon Update. Well, we don't really work that hard. However, we do tell the truth about whatever is going on in the world, and it turns out it's hard to get anything done without at least starting and agreeing on the truth and the facts.
What you're seeing and what you're reading is not what's happening.
What you're seeing and what you're reading is not what's happening.
Which is why the GOP never gets anything done. I mean, sure, they give rich people tax cuts because who doesn't need a third private jet to fly the help? And then you got to remodel the day spa on the yacht. I get it. There is never enough money when you already have too much fucking money. Or if you have an ex-wife. Bill Gates, you gonna be okay? Jeez, call me. You know, they got divorced after this sentence. Bill, just tell me the truth. Well, guy was naked and I fell on her. Which was Bill Gates is totally believable because the man has the moves. Now, the truth is important. We can't even argue if one side can't face facts. And even if you're Liz Cheney and related to someone who lied and got us into a war for a decade plus, this guy is what we call a dick. Cheney. This is his daughter, Liz. Liz is in the House of Representatives. And although I don't agree with her, she is not a dick. Cheney, like her father. Now, over the last 4 years of the fat, illiterate, bankrupt guy that killed 500,000 and wants to date his daughter administration, Liz voted Republican. See Liz vote. See Liz vote for Trump's policies 90% of the time. Now, see Liz be hated by Democrats who consider her a dick. Cheney. Liz always sides with them, except when it comes to treason. It seems that when it comes to drowning democracy like a runt puppy, Liz Cheney is facing the truth and speaking out against the big lie. Now, when I heard the big lie about Trump, the list is so long, I wasn't sure what the hell she was talking about. Because Trump is the LeBron of lying. When it comes to lying, Trump's jersey hangs in Satan's rafters with Judas's. And it was this lie. The election was stolen and the insurrection at the Capitol was a field trip. And that was something that the rest of the GOP denounced.
The president bears responsibility for Wednesday's attack on Congress by mob rioters.
And then agreed with, and then disagreed with, and then agreed with, and then disagreed with. They've really got their shit together over there, don't they?
And I'm also no fan. Aren't you embarrassed?
Liz Cheney, however, has come out strong for truth about the election. She has said Joe Biden won, Trump lost, and the insurrection is going to kill democracy. And because of her principled stand, the Republicans have changed course and are accepting their loss and elevating Liz to the leader of the Republican Party. I'm kidding. They're going to kick her ass out of her leadership position because she told the truth, just for acknowledging facts. Now, this is where the GOP is. They can't even admit the guy that screwed up as bad as Trump did every day that he lost. That's not just wrong, evil, and psychotic. It may kill their party or democracy. They're going to get rid of her for simply acknowledging facts. Joe Biden is president. He's kicking ass and taking little kids' hearts. I can talk about there being zero evidence that Trump won. I can talk about 61 lost court cases because of zero evidence. I can talk about 3 recounts and no voter fraud because there is zero evidence of any of it. But the saddest part is Liz is getting shorted on for telling the truth and standing up for democracy. This dude right here, under investigation for sex trafficking underage girls and illegally taking money from marijuana lobbyists. And he's lied about it repeatedly, but no one in the GOP has said a fucking word. You know, when you can no longer even agree to the truth, Joe Biden won and is president and honestly saved thousands of lives and is killing it in the economy, vaccines, weeding the White House lawn. When you can't face facts, it's time to end the Republican Party and let Liz start her own. And I know I won't agree with her, but at least Liz can face reality. And that's the first step in solving our country's problems. So I'm calling on all in the Republican Party to be like Liz Cheney and stop being a dick. Cheney. I'm Christopher Titus, and this is the Armageddon Update. Dick Cheney's probably going to shoot me in the face. Everybody, Christopher Titus Podcast. How are you guys doing today? We have a special guest. Bombshell is out of town. She is actually at her dad's house, helping him not die, basically. She's just helping him with the house while his wife is away. So with me today, guy I've known for a long time. He's really done nothing with his life. But I think we shouldn't just have people on who you got to help people. You got to lift them up. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the best car designers on the planet Earth. Actually, designers, period. I've seen you do stuff that has nothing to do with automotive. Mr. Chip Foose, ladies and gentlemen.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
The Highlander, as always.
After that, I mean, Chip Foose, everybody.
Yeah. By the way, let me introduce someone who just released their album of 22 songs. Thank you, sir. The Traveling Wilburys. Sorry.
Hashtag not the Traveling Wilburys.
Hashtag not the Traveling the Willing Bureau.
Boom.
The Willing Bureau.
Boom, you nailed it.
That'll be on that SoundCloud today, tomorrow?
Check iTunes. Well, actually, when this goes live, it's check Spotify, iTunes, all those things.
Just drag it out and make it weird.
I didn't tell you.
This is
Friday.
I didn't tell you yet, but I am now known as the artist formerly known as Chip Foose. So for legal reasons, I can be here today.
Yeah.
What's your logo?
I was talking to my buddy Marshall, and I was saying, my buddy, Marshall, and I said, Marshall, Chip's going to be on the show, and he goes, "Oh, that's awesome." And I gave him a little background of what's going on.
How's Marshall doing?
He's doing good. He's doing really well.
Hi, Marshall.
Yeah. And he said, "Well, if Chip's going through that legal stuff, he needs to just invent a symbol. You could design a killer symbol."
Totally.
Prince actually changed his name because of the symbol.
Yeah, it's because
of legal reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. People all thought he was crazy. Oh, he's nuts. And
No.
he got all that press out of it, but he did it because Warner Brothers owned his ass.
Right.
Like someone owns you.
Yes.
But I don't think Warner Brothers ever had kids with Prince. So, dude, thanks for coming down.
It's my pleasure. It's great to see you.
Let's give everybody a backstory about you and I. So, I first ran into Chip Foose. I wrote a series a long time ago called Thrill Ride, which was the first iteration of Titus. Really,
Remember what year that was?
Man, 95?
95, 96.
95,
yeah,
and you were working at Boyd's.
I was at Boyd's.
Boyd's Hot Rods. And I being a hot rod guy my whole life, I was so into who was, Shaporis. I was John Patera, Boyd. I like all the guys that created what we currently have.
All three of them are gone.
Wow. Yeah, we all thought, dude, here's how it works. Live, die. Pretty much that's how it works.
We all do it. Design cars.
Yeah,
then die.
design cars. Right. So I went down to do research for the script I was writing, and I got to meet you. I was really stoked, dude. I was like a little kid because you were designing shit that nobody had done. You still do that, but at that time you broke through. Whether the way you just designed a 32, I mean, people always think Boyd was so great. I'm going, yeah, okay. I go, yeah, Boyd is, yeah.
Boyd picked the right people and allowed them to do their job.
He was a brilliant manager.
Yeah.
He was a brilliant manager. Did you learn that from him?
Yes.
Yeah, instead of being so over.
Growing up with my dad, you got a project in his shop and you did the whole thing.
Right.
What I learned at Boyd's is everybody had their specialty.
Right.
But it was nice to be able to do the project from start to finish, but it was really great working with Boyd when one guy's building the chassis, another guy's doing the sheet metal work. There's a painter, there's a guy that's doing all the wiring and the plumbing. And we were kicking cars out. We had high-end cars coming out of that shop once a month.
Wow.
It was crazy.
That's what you didn't learn from Boyd.
So I didn't want to have that many employees.
Right. True. Well, not only that, but
I never realized how hard I worked for Boyd until it was over.
Really.
And I sat back and thought, that was a lot of fun, but I never want to do it again.
But
like
I didn't
that.
breathe.
No.
And the funny thing is, Boyd had to work that hard because Boyd.
Then I started overhauling. It was worse.
Yeah. Boyd was burning money though. Boyd, that's why he had to keep that pace up. So I went there.
Boyd was smart because what he did at that time, and I never realized it until later.
Boyd's Hot Rods, by the way, guys. Go ahead.
Yes, but Boyd's, if you look at, that all went bankrupt and it was gone in 98.
Yeah.
After 98, the hot rod industry exploded because Boyd controlled what it cost to build a car. And we had Boyd wheels, so we would build a car that would normally cost about $300,000 to $400,000.
Wow.
We would do that for $175,000. We were losing money building cars.
But you had the TV show and the wheels.
No, we didn't have a TV show with Boyd's. But what he was doing was controlling and building all the high-end cars. Because if somebody went to another shop to build a certain car and they were getting a quote, yeah, that's going to be $300,000-$400,000, they'd come to us, yeah, $175,000. But we had Boyd wheels on the top-end cars.
So what you're saying is Boyd was building cars as a loss leader to keep the wheels selling.
Yes.
Wow.
He controlled it that way.
You didn't do that either.
Well, I tried, and my ex-wife ended up going out and buying a $3.3 million home. So I didn't have any money to put into cars.
Well, I'm glad. So you're going through that now, and I'm sorry to hear that. I went through the worst one that I thought, and then I heard about yours, and I was like, oh, it's okay. I just don't feel so alone anymore.
Whenever I hear you tell your story, and he says, he backs it up with, but Chip Foose, wait till you tell me what happens there.
We're not going to do it here just for legal reasons. So
We'll tell the story
We
later.
kind of became. It wasn't right after that we became friends. Kind of.
I was really impressed with what you wanted to do, and I
wanted to
became
bring
a
hot
fan
rodding to sitcoms. Yeah.
I remember the day you came in. We sat in my office and we talked. I was a fan of Christopher Titus from that day on.
Oh, thanks, man. He didn't know it's funny though yet. He still doesn't believe I am. Then what happens was that show doesn't work. I lost that show. By the way, let me give you guys a lesson in show business: what not to do in a meeting. They didn't let me write that first one. It was called Thrill Ride. It was about me and my buddy had a hot rod shop, and the writer, I gave the idea, all these ideas I put down, and I was like, here, and he took it. And at the end, when he turned the script in, it was me and my Latino buddy. We're dating these twins. But they kept switching on us to mess with us, and we never knew who we were dating, and wacky stuff happened. And I was like, no. And so I'm in the meeting with all the people. And this is what I should have learned from Chip a long time ago. Chip has amazing diplomacy. Chip knows how to just stop, listen, go, and then walk out and just make another decision. I would say shit in the room. So the head guy's there, and I go, I've read the script, guys. This isn't what I want to do at all. I go, dude, we talked. Now all the big shots are there, and the guy that wrote it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we talked about this for like 5 days. You didn't put anything I said. And he goes, hey, I'm the writer. You tell me what you want, and then I decide what I'm going to do. And I went, you know what? Fuck you. I quit. Now, the head guy, his last name was Franks. I forget his first name, Rich Franks. Rich Franks goes, you can't do that.
Wait.
Then you quit then. And I walked out. So, and that's why I'm doing a podcast instead of running my own television show. Which I did.
But your television show came later.
So what happened is that I brought that in, and everybody kept asking me at Fox, and I knew you, and I'd hung around the world, and I was writing for Good Guys, and I knew how many people, especially at that time, I think that was I think with electric cars now, it's kind of start to wane. I think it's the pinnacle of hot rodding was back then. Do you agree? Like the pinnacle of that.
But we became friends and started hanging out.
Right. Yep. All the time.
For years.
And you're funny for many years. I was a godfather to your kid, and and then I made his wife mad. And it turns out, if you got one of your best friends in the world, but his wife doesn't like you.
So that's what happened.
Yeah. It wasn't him. But so I'm going to tell a couple stories. So we had a couple weird experiences. One time I was writing for the car magazine, Good Guys Riding Custom, and Chip. So we get a call that I have to go write an article about Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen's got a hangar full of cars at the Santa Monica Airport. No, I've never told this story.
Burbank.
Is it Burbank now?
Burbank Airport.
No, we went to Santa Monica first.
Oh, you're right. Yes, it
with
was.
Trepanier.
Yeah.
With Trepanier.
George Poteet.
Joe Poteet. Like everybody who had the baddest cars, magazine cover cars, all showed up. They all trailered him in to show Charlie Sheen. This is a weird day. Man, so I show up to write my article. Charlie Sheen shows up 2 hours late or 3 hours late. It was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was insane. So they unload all the cars. The sniper's there, which Troy Trepanier did this thing where he started doing this Dare to Be Different thing, and he started bringing in these weird cars. And that
53 Belvedere
Plymouth, weirdest car, but it doesn't look anything like it anymore. And Chip designed it. Look these cars up, people. It's called the Sniper. So we bring all these cars in. Troy's dad's car was there. That Biscayne, Bisquick was there. Poteet brought something. You brought something up. If I remember.
I had George Poteet's black 46 Ford.
Right.
Roadster pickup.
Right. So all these badass
But it was
cars.
built out of a passenger car.
Really?
Yeah, we turned it into a pickup.
What was the car based on originally?
A 46 Ford sedan.
Right.
I had done a drawing of this car on the cover of Rod and Custom Ideas back in '85, and George Poteet had it built, and then he gave it to me to drive for a while.
Poteet is amazing. You would not guess who or what George Poteet is or what he's worth. When George shows up, you're like, who is this guy from a Deliverance movie? And then you realize that George Petit invented a water treatment system that is used worldwide, pretty much around the world. And the guy sits on his porch. Doesn't he have like just sit and shoots off his porch?
Well, Charlie Sheen invited us to go to his shooting range. He said, I got a shooting range down below my his apartment or wherever it was, wherever his house was in Santa Monica. And George Petit says, well, I got a shooting range on my driveway.
Yeah, that's
There you go. Boom.
He puts cans on his fence and drives down the street in his car shooting cans off the fence.
From the car. Because
Right
you want to be
across
able
the
to
street?
you want to shoot while you're
Right.
driving. It's his property. What are you going to do? So we go to this thing. I look at all the cars. Charlie Sheen has some cars. Like he's literally got photo cars, like a '69 Camaro that was the photo car, dog dish Chevelles with the 396s in them. He's got 370 Chevelle LS6s.
And he was collecting every Chrysler he could find that had an original Hemi in it.
Yes, yeah, dude. As we're walking through,
One of one cars.
yes, and I'm going, oh my god.
Yeah,
and
freaking out.
There's 35 cars, right? There was like 30 cars there,
that,
something like that. So I'm going through, but Charlie Sheen's not there. And I'm done. We've taken all the pictures. Photographer showed up. I've looked at all the cars. Charlie Sheen, 3 hours late, shows up. Charlie Sheen, and by the way, if Charlie Sheen ever sees this, you got to. He doesn't remember this. I think I ran into him once again. I said, "Do you remember that?" He goes, "I don't really remember that." He shows up in bright blue, Asian blue silk pajamas, loafers, a black blazer,
And a Sinatra hat.
and a fedora. He's got a Sinatra hat
Oh,
on.
it was a baseball cap that said Sinatra.
No, I know he's wearing a
No,
fedora.
because he ended up trading the Sinatra hat to Jack Trepanier for his Rad Rods.
I don't think so.
Rad Rods.
I think I have pictures
Jack
still.
had the hat.
Well,
And a
what-
bevy of...
No bevy.
Oh, okay, no bevy.
No bevy
All
this
right.
time. It was two
Hemis,
guys.
no
I
bevies.
disagree. I think we can look this up. I think it was a fedora. So because I have a picture of him
How
in the
much
Corvette.
money are you going to put on this?
$100. $100.
You
All
got
right,
it.
all right. I have pictures. Yeah. Chip and I have just
a
put
baseball
$100.
cap.
Only because Rachel's not here. And she said, "What are you doing?"
Where's the photo?
So I will pull it up. I'm gonna call good guys and I'll get it. That's $100 I want back.
Highlander, Photoshop this quick.
Yeah, exactly.
I can call Troy right
So
now.
here's what happens: is there is a. You guys ran into him again though later though. That was the time.
He ended
first
up
time-
doing overhauling with us later.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That was then. The first time we met him, he wore a fedora. He got out of this. He drives up in his
he did.
Bentley R Turbo, and it was this monster car. Everything's turned beautiful, like the highest end Bentley you can get. Gets out of it, and he's got all these vets too. He's got these C2 Corvette, like 3 427 tri-power Corvettes, just sitting there. They're all sitting in this hangar,
God.
not being used. So
Right.
I start walking around with Charlie Sheen, and I'm like, "Well, what is this one? This one?" And he goes, "What is it?" And I have to explain to Charlie Sheen about the cars he owns.
He didn't know.
Somebody, I guess they were collecting them for him.
I don't know all the details.
So I go to 3 different cars, and at one point, as a car guy,
That's painful a little bit.
it broke
It's
my
like,
heart a little bit.
Come on, man.
No, I know, dude. You don't know. Like there was a 65, one of the original. It was like the first 100 off the line in 65 Shelby Mustangs, the white with the blue stripes, and Carl Shelby had signed it and numbered it, and I go, that you even have this is insane.
Somebody
He goes,
else
I know, right?
who
What
loves
is
that
it?
and could appreciate that should own it, not
I
just
think
throwing
he was
money.
messing with you.
No, well, that's what I've kind of figured. That's possible because when we went to dinner with him after that. So we look at all the cars, and then the editor guy with Steve with me goes, "Hey man, can we get Charlie Sheen to do a burnout? We're running an airport." Okay, so we say, "Yeah, let's get one of the vets out and have him do a burnout for the cover of Good Guys." And they go, "Okay." Well, the second they roll the vet out, all his dudes, there was like 4 dudes with Charlie Sheen, they jump in all these different cars and start moving shit as far away from us as they can. And these guys have cars that are worth like hundreds of thousands, these customs, like magazine cars. And I'm like, guys, we didn't move these cars. Because they were, and I go, why are you guys moving? He goes, "Oh, Charlie hasn't had a license for like 9 years.
I knew it. I was gonna say that. Shit. Holy
But
shit.
to his credit, Charlie Sheen's credit, jumped in that vet, man, vet convertible. I think it was a blue one. Jumped it, dropped it. Woo! Did a killer ass burnout. Got a picture. So we get done talking to him. It was weird. It was a little weird. He was a little goofy. I thought he was a little goofy.
Then we went to dinner.
Then we went to dinner. This was this.
I have that Magnum still.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
So this is I thought I knew what money was. Charlie Sheen has a dude. This is just a dude that his entire job for Charlie Sheen is to show up where Charlie Sheen is to bring wine for that occasion.
He is a wine
That wasn't
guy?
the restaurant guy. That was his wine guy. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Brought in this Magnum. You still have the bottle?
I have the bottle.
We're
I
sitting
should have
there.
had everybody
unbelievable.
sign it.
Yeah.
But it's unsigned.
We're sitting there, and here's what's the weird thing about Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen has been goofy, the Tiger Blood thing and all this stuff, winning, that thing he went through. I have to be honest with you. We sat down. I was sitting here. Chip was sitting there, and Charlie Sheen was sitting next to him. We were just kind of talking and stuff. I hadn't done my TV show yet. No one knows who they gave. I'm just the writer for the magazine. And first of all, him and Charlie Sheen get into a conversation, and I look over. At one point, Chip has redesigned the button-up shirt.
Of course you did.
No, I'm like, how the fuck did you just design? You fixed the shirt. Like that's how psycho you are. So as we're sitting there and I'm listening to you and him talk, I realized that Charlie Sheen is smart as fuck. Mm-hmm. He's one of the smartest people I've ever sat and had a conversation with. And then we all ate. It was a ton of people there, right? We had 3 tables.
There was, I believe there was 17 of us there.
17 of us. And here, so Charlie Sheen is worth so much money. People go, how is Charlie Sheen worth so money? Because Charlie Sheen worldwide in China and stuff is this mega Tom Cruise at this time. Literally
I had the same
hundreds and
question.
hundreds of millions of dollars. Charlie Sheen, for a couple of years there, we lived below his house in the canyon up there when I got divorced. And every about 8 months, helicopter.
Did you have a house or you were just homeless outside?
No. I had
He just burrowed underneath.
But that's how bad his divorce is. You like me are living nowhere. Yes. I'd rented that place in Witzel, and every 8 months, helicopters would fly over the house in that canyon. Well, for about 2 years, Charlie Sheen would forget to put his Mercedes in park. Get out of the car, and it would go over the cliff. He lost 3 Mercedes S classes.
It's just a pile of cars.
At the bottom of the canyon. It created a dam. He was like a human beaver. He just blocked rainfall.
He was trying to fill the whole valley there.
So at the end of the
fill
night,
it up, they won't go down.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Pretty soon they're going to be right blocked in.
Eventually
It's
they
fine.
won't go.
Yeah, they're going to go anywhere. That's what
Eventually I won't.
Goals.
I'll just
His
park
goals.
it on top of them. So at the end of the night, and I think you go over at the end of the night, the bill came, and the bill was insane. It was insane. And George
The wine bill was 17,000 something.
Dude, that was the wine bill.
Yeah.
I can't.
I am out. I realized, I don't belong in this world.
The best part was when we went to the hangar, Charlie showed up in his pajamas.
Yep, pajamas.
But we did the whole thing with the cars, and then we decided on what restaurant we're going to, and he says, I'm going to go change, and I'll meet you there. Well, he did meet us there in another pair of pajamas.
Yeah.
So he changed it back into pajamas.
I think
Wow.
I thought there was a Hugh Hefner thing going on.
Yeah, that's what I was
It
going to
was-
say. Yeah.
Yeah, he had different pair of shiny pajamas.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you look better now. So, by the
What
way,
a great
that's
evening. I mean, look at
it was a great
We
meeting.
remember it like it was yesterday.
It was a great evening. It was awesome. It was one of those. I realized I'd never forget it. And you know what level money you have to have to walk around in pajamas.
I'm not there.
No, not even close. Not even close. I'll never get there. I'll never get to that. You think a jet is important?
You know, I have done it in my own bedroom.
Yes, exactly. No, he went to dinner with 18 people in fucking pajamas.
That's a level. Like
And
once you
rocked
get
it.
jets, you
Yes.
get your own Learjet, and then you're free to wear pajamas everywhere.
You got to remember, Charlie Sheen doesn't. I've never that. I hate that phrase "give 0 fucks," but it really seems that he doesn't. He has so much money, so that was an interesting time. And then for years, man, and then you built one of the prettiest '56 Chevy, I think. And I've heard that across the country, dude. That car, the prettiest '56 Chevy ever, I think, ever built, ever designed.
Well, Keith Karcher did that original sketch for you. And then
Keith Karcher did something like it, and it had this big giant T-bird thing on it. It wasn't what I thought it, and I brought it to Keith's picture to him. He's been very angry about this. His was all goofy and purple with flames, and it didn't have any of the details.
it wasn't elegant.
It didn't have any details on it. It was just a '56 Chevy convertible with basically a fucking tonneau cover on it. Let's just be honest. Keith can be mad at me all he wants, but I'm not a dumb guy about cars. So I said I never thought of a convertible. That's the only thing we kept, really. You changed the lights were the bumpers, everything was changed on it. So
I laid the deck lid.
so the trunk, they added 4 inches to the trunk, and then he laid it in, and then they put these they did chrome spears on it, And that was just stunning, man. It's stunning. The car,
It was a cool car, but
it blew people away.
90% of that was my father's work.
Right. Yeah, it sure did.
We just wired it. He painted it and assembled it. We wired it and got it working. So
You
we
got the
could
frame
get it
built
to
too.
SEMA in time.
But that's what
I
I'm
built
saying.
the frame.
I had one of the very few Sam Foose, Chip Foose cars.
Yes.
Yeah, very rare. Thank you, man.
Well, they were all Sam Foose, Chip Foose when I was young.
Yeah.
But there was no Chip Foose. It was just Sam Foose.
Yeah, Sam Foose.
Then
Shut
I went to
up.
Art Center and later became Chip Foose.
I want to talk about that too. People didn't even understand this. So I was telling Rachel about this yesterday, and she didn't quite understand. I said, "Do you remember the Plymouth Prowler?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay, so that was based off of something Chip did at his final art project at Art Center. That's correct, right?"
Yes.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Oh, dude, this thing called the Hemisphere. People go Google the Hemisphere. So he did this his final project. Explain it. I can talk all day and just let you sit here and you can just
This
nod.
was my final term at Art Center, and Chrysler came in and asked the students to create a niche market vehicle. And the example they gave us was a guy that likes to work out on an exercise bike. Maybe he rides this exercise bike in the morning and charges a battery enough to get to and from work that day.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, that's
What?
something I'll never do.
Yeah, what? Can I talk to the dipshit that came up with that, please?
But we had to do examples based on that information. So I did a whole presentation for that. I did about 5 different concepts. But then I did something that was taboo at Art Center. You were not supposed to draw hot rods or muscle cars when at Art Center because you're not focused on the future of automotive design. If you're designing,
Wait, let's just go back to the reality of that Charger.
Well,
Oh,
let
yeah.
me get to it.
Right. All the retro. Yeah.
I did a whole second presentation in my apartment, never talked to the teachers and never showed it to any of the other students. But the day that we showed our presentation to Tom Gale, who was the president of design for Chrysler at the time,
big hot rod guy too.
he came in and looked at my 2 presentations. He says, "Okay, I know what you're doing here. This is our project, but what are you doing here?" And I said, you asked us to create a niche market vehicle, which is what everybody in this class has done. And it is also asking us to create a customer for you. What I'm doing over here is I'm catering to customers that exist today. There are thousands of people out there with really cool muscle car bodies or hot rod bodies in their garage or side yard that they're trying to modernize all the components in it so they can drive it on a daily basis. We have an advantage today to go back and take a great form, whether it be the Cuda or the Challenger, because I did some drawings of muscle cars, and evolve that into something new today.
Right.
And tug at the heartstrings of memories. And I also did a side view of a 70 Cuda and the plan view of a 33 Plymouth Coupe. And I did a car that I called I never had named it yet, but it was the Hemisfear, which I own today. We built 5 of those. And I did this sketch, and I'm thinking I'm going to get yelled at for drawing hot rods and muscle cars. But Tom Gale just looked at my presentation. He says, "I want you to do the hot rod." And I was so excited. When you do your models at school.
You didn't make a model at this time. This was just drawings.
These were just drawings at this time.
You didn't have to made a model yet. Oh, wow.
No, this was just, these are our ideas we're presenting to Chrysler.
Right.
And Tom Gale picked my hot rod.
That's
He
awesome.
said, "Build this model."
It's so just smart to think outside of the box and differentiate yourself from the other students.
But
Well,
also,
it's still a niche market,
Yeah.
but its customers were there.
Yeah.
But it's also who this guy is. So here's the thing about I'm loud and brash when I want to go forward. He's just like, yeah, I'm not supposed to do that, but I'm going to do it. Here we go.
You just got to put it up.
Yeah,
and be like,
He's like, I know I'm not supposed to do this, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for it, but here it is.
Well, here's what you're asking for, and here's just a different idea.
Right. So you did do the project.
I did do the
So
project.
you weren't going to get
And
in
I
trouble.
did extra credit,
Right.
but sometimes extra credit can get you in trouble. But
'Cause
I was
maybe-
lucky. Tom loved it and loved it so much they actually produced it.
Do you find that your art teachers were hated that you did that against the rules? Were they pissed?
No, what was funny is I had 2 teachers. We had a Monday class and a Friday class for transportation design. And 2 teachers working in there. And I forget I think it was the Monday class. We had to start doing our line drawings for the model.
Right.
So I did a quarter scale drawing And I bring that in, and the teacher looks at it and he says, okay, yeah, you can start your clay model now. Now we have 7 weeks to build the model. 14 weeks total.
It's a lot.
7 weeks of design and then 7 weeks of building a model.
You don't need 7. Did you need 7 weeks?
Well, I'm going to get to that.
Okay, all right. 'Cause, man, I've seen the dude lay
So-
stuff out in like 30 minutes.
Geza Loxey was one of the teachers, and I presented my drawing to him. He says, yeah, go ahead and start your clay model. So I do the drawing, and that's on, I believe it was the Friday class.
Right.
No, it was the Monday class. So I have until Friday, we're going to start building this model. When I saw the teacher on Friday, I already had my clay model finished.
Yeah,
And he gave me the okay on the clay model that was done. The next teacher, I forget his name right now. So in 1 week, I built a clay model. And the reason I did it so quick is I knew I wanted to pull a mold and make a fiberglass car or model to.
So no one else was doing that.
No one had ever built a fiberglass model in the same term. A lot of guys had built their clay model and then pulled molds and made a second model out of it. I don't like to waste a paint job. So you paint your clay model and then you got to pull molds. I just wanted to pull a mold. So I finished my clay and then I packed the whole thing with plaster to make the mold. I made it a solid one-piece mold, and then I ran
Out
it
of
through
plaster?
Out of plaster, and I ran it through the bandsaw right through the center line. Separated it on Friday when he signed off on it. Now I had the weekend, so I made the plaster mold, ran it through the bandsaw, separated it, pulled the model out. I plastered the mold back together, laid up the fiberglass model, and the next Monday when Geza came back in, I had a finished fiberglass model of the body.
And there's no one else in the class.
Other guys are like, I used the crayons to finish my crayon.
And you're
can I get
rolling
my
in with
crayon
a
drawing?
finished car.
Yeah, he's like,
What's up, motherfuckers?
He comes in and it's 1 week later, I have a fiberglass body. And he says, well, I guess I'm not helping you with the design. And I said, well, I wanted to get it done.
Yeah.
So that I can build all the billet aluminum parts, because I wanted to make billet aluminum axles and wheels and the exhaust. I wanted it to look like a real scale model. And
the pictures
that's
they shot
exactly
of it.
what I did.
The pictures they shot of it, they shot it like it was full size. The way you
That
guys
was
dropped
John
it down.
Thawley that took
pretty
the
cool.
pictures. He rolled out some cork on top of his station wagon and taped a yellow line that looked like a street line.
Yeah.
Put the model there, used the Pasadena mountains in the background, took the photos, and it looked like you were looking at a real car.
Yeah, it's
really
crazy.
cool.
And then
his photos were amazing.
And then how many years later before you built the real ones? Because those are insane.
That was in December of 90
Yep.
that I finished that model, and he took those pictures.
It was years after you and I knew each other.
And then I worked with Metal Crafters, and I started to build it when I was at Boyd's. Boyd's went away, and it went dormant. I started my shop, and then
God, I remember the first shop too.
Metal Crafters actually wanted to build them. When I took my model to them and asked them if they would cut a full-size foam buck, I was going to fiberglass over that, and then use that to hand shape an aluminum body. And when they looked at it, they asked me if they could produce them. They wanted to go into a limited production, which we did. We built 5 of them together, but I worked with Metal Crafters, which was an amazing.
So there's 5 of
project.
them out. There's 5 of those out in the world.
There. Yeah.
Do you know who has them?
No, I don't actually.
Wow, that's
not all of them.
interesting. And they're all different, right? They're all a little different.
I know all but 2 of them.
It's such a crazy looking car. I never got to sit in one, but it's such an insane looking. It's a rear engine hot rod, dude. It's like a rear engine 34.
Right.
But it's I could say a 34 Ford, but it's not. It's insane. It's like if an Indy car raped a 34 Ford, and then
And that was the baby.
Yeah, that was the baby, and then the baby grew up in a very high tech environment with that, and then
baby.
Apple. Man, yours, the green one's definitely a boy, I think.
Let's see.
Let's talk about creating stuff though, because here's I think people don't. I've seen you sit down. Here's a weird thing about Chip. Chip gets an idea. Okay, so good example. I kind of got to know the guys at the shop over there a little bit. I'd come in enough to where they were like, "Hey, Titus," and one day they're telling me, so he'll do it. Here it is.
Oh, dang. Yeah.
Hold that up to the camera.
That's awesome.
We can actually put that in maybe.
Foose Hemisphere. That's what I just Googled.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get this a little closer.
Well, we can put it in. We
Yeah,
drop
we'll-
it
I'll
in.
drop
We'll drop
it
it
in,
in. And one of the guys, so it's never done to you. That's the problem. You're better at that now, but you got to this psycho place of OCD where Chip would get a car, they'd chop a top, they get it all done, metal finished. His guys had finished it. It's done. We're ready. We're going to go to paint. And Chip would come out of his office and look at it. And they said, Chip will come out, look at it and go. And if he grabs masking tape,
You're like,
they're 2 weeks more.
honey, I'm
work.
not coming home. This is going to be, my weekend is shot.
Yeah, it's over. Well, he picked up masking tape. We're all fucked. Yeah. And why is that?
If I see something that bothers
You
me
can see
now,
it.
if it's completely finished,
Right.
I'm going to live with it. But if we're still in the
If there's
cutting
room,
and dicing and moving things around, that's when I'll lay out tape. And a lot of times, I haven't even told the guys that I'm gonna change this area of the car also, but we're working on this area now. So we get this area done, and they think they're completely finished.
Yeah.
Then I come out and start laying out the tape. Like, well, now we're gonna do this part.
Titus pulls out duct tape for me when I see something on the screen.
But he's just putting you into the chair. Right?
He's in the chair all the time.
Don't go anywhere.
But the fact that you're off the charts talented.
Yeah. it's
So
crazy.
that's where you have that, like when you're, in a class, you can take those risks because you're going to kill it. Or, and your teachers aren't going to come to you and say, hey, you should have, instead of doing this extra thing, you should have spent time and focused on the project at hand.
I grew up with a father that would cut up anything.
Yeah.
And I knew as a kid that it's going to be cooler than what it is now.
Right.
His dad, man, some of the stuff his dad built is just insane. I mean, you can see where Chip got it. But the story about that, I know you've told it 100 times, where he just basically came in and took a VW hood, put a dent in it, and made you fix it.
Well, the first time that I painted something, I was working with my dad, sanding and getting things ready for the painters. But he told me, go grab a hood out of the back of the, he had a regular body shop as well as a custom shop. So panels that had been pulled off of wrecked cars were just thrown in a pile in the back of the yard. And the scrap guy would come by every once in a while, pick up all the loose panels and try to take cars that were out of the back shop too. You want to get rid of that too? No, that's a 31 Model 8. It's been chopped and it's got a chrome firewall, but it looks like junk. It's just sitting back there with, in the yard, but that came in later and got fixed up. But I grabbed the hood of a Volkswagen. I brought it in. He said, straighten it out and Bondo it and primer it and get it painted. So I straightened it out.
How old were you?
I was 9.
Wait a second.
That's the funny part to me.
I can't even get my 10-year-old son to, clean his room, and you're designing, bondoing hoods.
He's bondoing
I
hoods.
bondoed it, sanded it, painted it. I did some stripes on it. I did some flames, so it had graphics and all pearls. And
You are a master sculptor
Well,
that just happens to put your attention on cars.
That's a prodigy.
That's right.
I was just having fun.
It's a cut.
I felt lucky and blessed that I was able to do it.
Like the 9-year-old Japanese kid that picks up a guitar and he outdoes Eddie Van Halen. You go,
Right,
I'm just
yeah.
having fun. Yeah, you are.
Eddie's not, but you're having fun.
Yeah, Eddie Van Halen.
He's crying.
He killed himself. He's dead. He's gone now.
So my dad's in the other end of the shop, and he had told me, he says, I'm color sanding and polishing the hood now that it's all done. What I was going to do with it, I have no idea. I was just making this really cool piece of
Something
art.
to hang in the shop. Yeah,
So, and I have no idea where that hood is today. I would love to have that.
that'd be
But,
such a great story.
But I go grab my dad, and he's hammer and dolling on a fender in the other end of the shop, and he comes walking back. He's got the hammer and dolly still in his hands. He comes back and he looks at the hood. He says, "Well, you did a great job. This looks nice." Didn't pick anything apart on it, but then he took that hammer and hit right in the middle of that hood, big dent. He said, "Now fix it."
Oh, damn.
Match it.
Okay, so we
He
can.
shot pearls, flames, all kinds of stuff. And his dad goes, bang!
Now fix it. So now I
We can relate.
grind it
Wait,
back. I bondo it. I primer it. I
Started
feather it all
like
out.
you should. When I got done crying, because you're 9.
No, I don't remember crying. I probably did, but I don't remember. I just remember what the fuck? I was speechless for probably 3 days.
We all
While I
had
was
dads like
fixing it.
that.
When I was done with it, my jaw
Ours
was
hit our
still
heads.
open, like, ooh. But
And that was the first time I said motherfucker.
but I remember what I did is I was trying to keep it a small area, the repair, and I taped off a square and I painted the white same white that I had before, but I sprayed it and then I unmasked it. And I remember looking at it, and my dad walks in and he says, "What'd you do wrong?" I don't know. I was trying to keep that a small area. He says, "No, this is how you blend." Then he showed me how you blend and how you clear and blend and fix things to where you cannot tell it was ever there. And that's what I ended up doing. But he was teaching me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a.
But then we
can understand that tough lesson.
We also were.
Yeah, I'm still trying to fix the top of my head.
The hammer was used on different parts of him, and my dad
and I'm
was like,
fixing my heart.
And my dad was like, "Don't touch my fucking hammer." So, but it's all hammer related.
Yes. Yes,
you
it is.
you also did. There's Chip has a way of doing things. I remember when I did my '56 wagon when I'm a TV show, and I was like, I don't want to do flames like everybody else did. And I brought you a picture of something on that Rodder's Journal. It was a car, it was like a 37 Ford with flames on the roof. And I said, I like this idea. What do we do? And people, if you Google Titus, it was in Rod and Custom.
The 56 handyman.
Titus 56 handyman wagon. He did scallops on the edges, because the hard part with graphics is, where do they go? How do they disappear? Do they wrap? Do they go around?
Where do they go? Where do they end up?
The car is two-toned. The top and the rear quarters, those were the areas that were two-toned on those wagons.
Right.
So we did the flames in those areas, and it worked.
Yeah, but he had to, but it's on the roof of the car. There's no flames on the side except from the rear quarters, but the roof from front to back is flamed.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so he's it's a picture of you. I think I have a picture of you. There's a rig they had to build over the car, and Chip's laying on this thing, laying out flames on the roof. And then the fade you did on my God, this guy, I've never seen better flames. I had a Lightning pickup truck when the second year they came out.
That was a cool truck.
He's silver, and you just did another one, right? You just did another one recently for overhauling, didn't you? With
yes,
Mitch.
we did.
Yeah,
an overhaul.
And this fade, he does the longest fade I've ever seen. So it was silver, and he did it like this electric blue, and the fade, the flames fade from basically the back of the front fender, the real well, all the way. And I've never seen a better fade. People, it's hard to get paint to do it. It looks splotchy. And I said, how do you do this? And it's so simple. Like, I don't want to give all your secrets away, man. There's no secrets. What's your design?
The more you give away, the more you'll get in return.
Well, I learned how to do it. So what he does is you do the paint. You bring the paint in, and as you just let it fade out. You just keep going, and you pull away from it in one smooth motion, and it just lays a little bit of paint on it. It's really cool. Really cool. I know we're getting way in the weeds on this stuff right now. Give me basic designs. Like, when you create something, like, what is your philosophy about that? Because there's so many people out there, whether it's music or comedy or whatever. What is when you approach something? What is your why and how? Or do you have a basic thing?
I won't set rules, because as soon as you set rules, you're putting an end mark to design.
What would you consider a rule? Like, what would be a rule for you that you don't?
Let's just say.
And now we know why Chip doesn't work with Ford. It doesn't work at Ford.
No, it's there's a lot of hot rodders that say you have to have white walls, or you have to have you have to have a steel wheel in this. I won't say that you have to have anything, because then you're putting yourself in a box, and you're only going to do what you think you have to have this.
Right.
Get rid of the have to, and just look at what's possible.
Right. Just be completely open.
But that's with everything. The fashion, people. There's way more copying than.
So there's a lot of hot rodders out there, though, that
same car.
They have an image in their head from a car that they saw when they were in high school, and that's the ultimate hot rod to them, and you can't alter from that. But as a designer, I love everything. I love the cars that I was doing with Boyd. I love the cars that I've built at my shop, these futuristic, wild things with, 20-inch wheels, 22-inch wheels, whatever they are. But I also go right back to what you saw in the late 30s on the dry lakes, pulling the fenders off of a 32 Roadster and pulling the hood off and that's a hot rod.
Yeah.
I love both worlds.
Right.
And what's really cool is when you start to mix and blend you got what you had in the 30s, and then the 40s, and then the 50s. There was, wild customs, and 60s they got really crazy, bubble top and all that. Well, 80s, then you got the billet look and everything smooth. Take all those different areas and blend something together, and you have something new.
You work in so many different styles and eras and materials that like fiberglass and sanding and all kinds of protective gear that, you have to use to get into those things.
Nice. You're going out. We're doing an ad. We're about to do an ad. He's actually, he's very late.
Yeah, I'm learning from Greg.
It was very nice.
How's that?
I was like, where's he go? Oh.
And then I'll just jump into the voiceover.
And then go into
this
radio
episode
voice.
is brought to you by SA Fishing, SA Company.
So these guys make these face masks, and I have to be honest with you. We've all had this face mask cycle, but they're not medical face masks. They're cool. The one thing I hated about these face masks and stuff that we all had to wear during COVID was they usually look like you were a doctor or something half-assed, and then you had like a miniature
I'm
dragster
still using
thing.
the N95 from 3M.
Still, yeah, but painting masks.
Well, yeah, right.
All my materials and sandpaper, whatnot, it's all 3M.
These guys do like these really cool masks. I've got the clown one, the psycho clown.
Oh yeah,
I wear that one all the time. But it's not just for for COVID, because COVID we're gonna get all vaccinated. It's gonna be hard. But my dune buggy, I have a Myers-Manx.
I love it.
When I go out,
Wussy.
the wussy. I go out and I just wear that mask, and it's like or motocross riding.
Yeah.
When I take my dirt bikes out,
Perfect for that.
Dude, it doesn't fall down, and it's not weird, and it does keep the dust out, because some of the masks you even in your helmets it still gets in. With that thing on, doesn't get in.
You know what you would like about this company? That you could use your designs. You can upload your own designs.
Yeah.
And have an entire. We could have a whole Foose car.
You can't do that. We can't use Foose anymore. We're going to use the new symbol because of the ex-wife.
Oh yes.
The artist formerly known as
Foose. Yeah, the artist formerly known as Foose. Yes, but it's great stuff, and we've got I've got like 10 of them.
Yeah. So stay protected outdoors, because right now you can get an insane deal. Buy one, get 4 free. That's $150 value for just $24.99. Just go to safishing.com/Titus to get 5 face shields for the price of 1, plus a lifetime warranty and free returns if you're not satisfied. That's safishing.com/Titus.
And they're also cool. You're not going to be your same old guy wearing a mask. You look cool with them. So can you talk about what's going on in your life right now, or you would prefer not to?
I may stop.
We can always cut. Always cut.
Because the three of us.
Here's what happened. I was going to
your lawyer
Put up a car.
planted a chip in your head that just sends a pain signal to your brain, to your wallet.
Due to the fact that we have not divided our assets.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, we shouldn't. It shouldn't. We have. I've been through a bad divorce. You've been through a bad divorce, and I want to say that, man. You and I thought we were such good friends. You've seen me weird. You see me grow though. I remember when I first got my TV show, I was a psychopath. Wasn't I?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But I actually admired it.
One time he was in the car next to me.
You stood up for yourself.
Yeah, but I'll never forget.
That's something that I never did until recently.
Right. Oh, I heard you say motherfucker for the first time. You told me a story recently.
I never said that.
You did too. This dude is I've never heard it. He's on the phone with me telling something.
I was referring to what somebody else said.
Something.
Quote.
No, but here's who's this dude is. And for all you people that watched Overhauling and stuff, Chip is always so many people in show business or get something like that aren't the guys that they portray. They're just not. Huh. Foose always was. Always
I'm
a nice
not an
guy.
actor.
Now you just are you. Yeah, I'm just not smart enough to be somebody different. I'm just me. And so he's always been a nice guy. So something happened in this business thing that's going on in the divorce, and here's why he got mad. This is it's a great story about the guy. Here's why he got mad. He asked the guy who works for him to actually give somebody a thank you, just on a car they built. They went out of the way to make sure this car got to SEMA. SEMA is the biggest car show in the world, basically, for manufacturers and stuff. And that's all he did was ask, just put his name on there. Thank you for him. That's it. I don't like that guy. And because of that, no one hurt his kid, no one stole his money, no one scratched his car, because someone didn't get thanked. Chip was like, listen up, motherfucker, you work for me. And I was on the phone going, oh, he said, Chip, you've grown up. He's a big boy now.
And
just treat people the way you want to be treated.
Right, 100%.
And when somebody has just busted their tail to allow us to complete our project, I'll thank them all day long.
Right.
And this is Foose Design website and social media. I wanted Foose Design to say thank you for your efforts.
Right.
But somebody in my team that controls the social media was telling me no. And here's what's going on in my head.
That's like you going. Is he going, I'm not doing the Armageddon update. I'm here. I've turned it in. Don't give me a note on it.
Right.
And I'd be like,
Here's what happens in my head. I'm thinking, I've got other cars to build, and I want this gentleman to help me on those.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You say we don't thank him. He doesn't help me later.
Right.
You know, I want people to work with us and to be able to work with them.
Yeah.
And when you're
That
saying
always wins
no,
in the end.
I'm seeing an end to my career.
Right.
And all of us, a thank you doesn't cost anything to say or put it on the website.
Yeah, you're also a good guy though,
but we can make a
that's amazing.
fortune
right
for saying thank you.
Right. Also, people. So the guy had just gone to the extra mile, and there's so many people don't get this. The guy had just gone the extra mile to make sure you guys got that
You worked
car.
36 hours straight.
Right. You got that
to
car.
get a couple pieces done for us.
You got that car to SEMA. If you don't thank the guy, then next time he goes, I couldn't get to it. Sorry.
Yeah. Exactly.
He'll remember.
But if you go, no, I work with Chip Foose, and that guy goes, and then he works 48 hours next time. So we're going to kill the guy eventually, but keep giving him, at least he'll know he's loved.
Yeah.
At least he knows he's
But he's been
appreciated.
thanked. Yeah.
he's been thanked.
It's
quite
on
a
his
bit.
headstone, but it's good.
I've worked for other hot rod shops and gone to shows where these cars have been presented.
Yep.
And my name is not even on the sign. And I busted my tail to help these shops to get to the shows.
Yeah. Right.
And when my name is not on the sign and there's not a thank you, and sometimes I didn't even charge for the work I was doing. But when you're not recognized, I don't go and help them again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guess what? We ain't friends. That's what. I want to Overhauling. There's so many fans of Overhauling, and people just love that show. They just love the show. And I would show up during the time, until he's up. And I was always asked to participate, and I watched how hard you guys are working. And I always say, fuck no.
It's terrifying.
Someone asked me, what are the producer, Bud Brudsman? And Bud Brudsman is, I would go to war with Bud Brudsman, but I won't go to dinner with him. You can hear that. But because he's just, I'm intense.
Bud is a different guy now.
Good. Thank God. He had kids.
Just as you are.
Yeah.
And I am.
Yeah.
We've all grown up.
Right.
I think you and Bud would get along great now.
Oh, we got along fine until he punched me in the face on the Hot Rod Power Tour.
No, that's a story I didn't hear.
Yeah. So
this is a literal punch in the face?
Bud's a grappler and a martial artist, and he knew I was a martial artist. But he for whatever reason, when Bud got around me at this time, he's a different guy now.
He was that way.
Yeah.
We'd be on the set. He would come in and basically tackle me, throw me on the ground, and show me what a great wrestler he was.
Right.
And I never complained, but he would do it all the time. And whatever, he just tackled me 2 weeks ago, but I still feel it. Like, oh man, I still got a bruise here.
So he'd been doing on the power tour. He'd been doing that. Like he's always like
he doesn't do it. He doesn't do it anymore.
He's trying to hit me. And so, I trained for a long time. So one day he goes to shoot. I blocked him and I got my hand on his neck and he reacted like I stabbed him. He went and it punched me. It was that fast. I was like, we were just like, you've been doing this shit to me for weeks.
Yeah.
I did one time and you punched me in the face. And by the way, we were on tour together filming an episode of the TV show he's producing.
Fit the crime, buddy.
This is good to be here on the ride. Great job. I'd like to thank the producer. Yeah, but I got to go to the dentist. This tooth's missing. So you're doing
Steven
a new
called you.
So what was the weirdest thing at Overhaul? What was it like? What was a weird because we all saw it and we thought it was really cool and you always went out of your way. God, people. I'd be on the road doing comedy and people knew that and you and I knew each other and they'd be like, "Hey man, can you get a picture of my car to Chip to get on Overhauling?" I'm like, they do 14 episodes a year.
It's a Ford Taurus.
Yeah.
And he's like,
no, I'm not kidding. Yeah, Camry. It's a 4-door, but I want to turn it into a 2-door and I want to.
We did that a couple times.
In 7 days.
Took 4 doors and made them into 2 doors.
How hard? What's the point of that, really? Just to see that you could do it?
I just want to make it cool.
I know, but man.
They got a 4-door, but okay, we'll make it cool. We'll turn it into a 2-door and just get rid of the top so we don't have to mess with that.
Yeah, that was good. That's a good idea. So what was the weirdest stuff? The hardest
we
car.
only had 8 days.
I know. That's why when they asked me to get involved, I literally saw guys that looked like they were in some sort of automotive prison camp on day 6, where I'd walk in and people were beat to shit and they were just messy and their eyes were bloodshot. It looked like, and Bud was, "Come on, guys." And I was like, "Titus, get under the car, pull the rear end." I'm good. No, like he would just grab whoever's in the room. No, I'm like, good job, guys. I gotta go, and I would walk out.
Shivved.
Exactly.
Okay.
What was
Be sure not to go by on day 6.
Yeah, exactly. What was the hardest car you did? Do you remember? Because I know you guys were rushing.
I would say
sometimes.
that Lotus that we did.
That was
I don't know if you ever saw it.
Yeah, I did see it. The red ended up red, right?
Jay Leno was our insider, and we did it for John, the guy that came by and filled his soda machine all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Red
So
and white.
why was it hard?
Well, it was probably the most work we ever did to a car.
Now, did you go nuts because Leno was involved and you were like, I want to go nuts on this?
Well, Leno was kind of saying, I want this, and I want this, and I want this. And I'm thinking, with this, we need to do this. And with that, we need to do this. And I'm looking at the car, and I'm thinking, it's got this awkward long nose out in front of the wheels. So I thought, let's pull the nose back and just tried to balance the proportion of the car a little better. And then, of course, it kind of runs away when the stock car has 13-inch wheels. And we're going to bring it down so you've got less room in the wheel wells. And we put 18s.
So it can't just go straight.
Wow.
You got to
can't
move
turn
a
it.
lot of stuff. And
Yeah.
that comes back to the same thing with, the rear quarters. We were working on that car, and the project manager had all the guys. I didn't know it because I'm working on another car. He has everybody do all the body work on the back of the car. And I'm still building the chassis. I walk over there, and they've got all the quarters all finished.
And it won't fit.
And I already know it's not going to fit. I've built the chassis, and I've built the wheel, and I've got the wheels on it. Okay, we're going to drop the body on now.
Kink.
So we drop the body on, and I don't have the wheels on it, but I start cutting all the quarters and pulling that bodywork out, and then just make sheet metal strips and start screwing it back together. But I widened the rear of that car about 4 inches.
You just pie cut them and then pulled it all out?
All the way around that wheel well. Just cut them. And
After
pulled
they'd already
everything up.
finished it.
Yeah. Pull it all up, and now fill in all
You're
redo
your
all-
dad. That you just pulled a dad.
But I knew it needed to be done before we even got the body.
Yeah.
I said, you should ask me before you do all that, because they just wasted all that time.
What was the most fun you ever did on one of those? Like where you were like, this was a fun one. I saw some people react, grown ass men,
It's funny.
bursting into tears when they saw their cars.
It's not the cars that I really think about. 'Cause
Right.
We did 160 some cars,
Jesus.
but
And you don't hate cars now because after having your ass kicked, imagine taking a car, whatever, rusty Camaro, even a decent shape one, and in 7 days transferring it to something. You saw the show, right?
Yeah.
Once in a while.
Yeah.
It was like I would hate cars.
I would
again.
do the 8 days with zero sleep when we were doing them.
Right.
Sometimes I got a nap in, or maybe 1 or 2 naps. Sometimes when the car was in the spray booth, I would sleep while they were painting it, then wake up and
Right.
start assembling.
Oh my God.
But
Dude, when you were building my car, we were taking it to SEMA, the 56, the convertible. You were sleeping in the trunk of the car.
yeah,
We caught you sleeping with a wrench in the trunk of the car.
that was the T-Bird.
Cuddling up with it.
That was a T-Bird too. Yeah, you just do this.
I remember I was bolting the 2 panels together. I had my hands over my head. I had 2 7/16 wrenches in both hands. And
Next thing you know,
the next thing is Carl showed up at the shop, and he's rolling the big roll-up door open. And I hear the door open, and I open my eyes, and I still have the 7/16 wrenches in both hands on the nut and bolt. And I go, okay, finish tightening that up and go to the next bolt.
well, now that I'm rested,
So you can design these things in your sleep. Literally.
I have actually woken up with ideas, and I used to always keep a drawing pad next to the bed, so I could grab that and do
Right.
drawings. In fact, that's where that 46 Ford Roadster pickup came from. That was a dream I had, and I drew it. We put it on the cover of the magazine, and George Poteet had some guys in Colorado build it.
did that piss you off? Did you get
Well,
Keith, did you
I
get a
had
little
started-
did you get a little Keith Karcher on all that? Were you
I had
you like,
started
"Motherf-"
I had started to build that truck for myself.
right?
And then when I saw that they finished it, they got to it before I did. I ended up selling my project.
Oh wow, what a bummer.
Actually, I gave it to Keith, who was the painter at Boyd's, and he was going to build it for his dad. And I don't know if he's ever built it or not. He's up in Washington now.
Speaking of your dad too, man, you people, if you're a car guy and you're just into West Coast Customs, those guys, they're all great, and I think Kindig is he's a great guy, and his shop is awesome. Yours is too. But when you go back to those, your dad and those guys of that era kind of invented some custom car stuff that it's still like popular today. They invented that world.
Yeah.
You know, and your dad was a master.
See, my first memories are Winfield shop.
Yeah, Winfield too. Winfield's that's like 103, still building cars, still welding, still out
But
there.
my dad worked for Gene.
Wow.
You didn't know that?
I think I have a vague recollection of, but
Yeah, my dad was the shop foreman at AMT and Winfield shop. Well, originally, we went to Modesto. My dad worked in Modesto with Gene. Gene left Modesto, went to Phoenix, and opened AMT. Called my dad and said, "Bring anybody that wants to come down and work here," and close the shop up there. So we ended up moving to Phoenix, and then Gene came back up to Canoga Park, and then my dad finally he was. I remember as a kid, my dad would leave on Monday morning to go to work and not come home until Friday.
wow.
And just dead tired. He'd fall asleep, get up, take a shower, go right back to work. And he just finally one day he says, "I'm done."
That's no way to live.
We went back up to Santa Barbara, and my dad started his own shop.
You know what you guys needed back then? The convenience of Butcher Box.
You know what I needed? Yeah, meat. So his dad wouldn't have been so damn tired if he'd eaten right.
Right.
He'd get the right
You would
nutrition.
have the right proteins.
Right, exactly.
Delivered right to your house.
Butcher Box. Can I? So Ray has. We have it. Here's how old I am now. I have a freezer in my garage.
Right.
I'm freezer in my garage.
You got rid of the
Stocking
fridge
up.
with all the beer?
Yes, it's just meat now. So we get Butcher Box. Butcher Box. It's grass fed. It's like the meat is so good. The chicken that Ray makes with this stuff. Go ahead, read it. Tell him.
It's 100% grass-fed, finished beef. They offer free-range organic chicken, heritage breed pork, wild-caught salmon, and
No hormones added. It's like the best. And you can order like was it 13 pounds, 20 pounds? Enough for 24 meals.
each box has 9 to 11 pounds.
Yep.
Enough for 24 individual meals.
Yep.
That is a lot. For a limited time, Butcher Box is offering new members a free essentials bundle in their first box. That's 3 pounds. Listen to this. There's 3 pounds of chicken breasts, 2 pounds of pork chops, and 2 pounds of ground beef for free in your first box.
Also, keep an eye on them. When you get the subscription to Butcher Box, check it all the time, because sometimes they pop up lobster or crab or something crazy, and it gets gone like that. But we actually use it all the time. I love it.
Yep. So just go to butcherbox.com/Titus. That's butcherbox.com/Titus to get a free essentials bundle in your first box.
Awesome.
Yeah, we have to
do it.
Gotta do the ads, man. But the thing is that so here's how we run this. We don't I've turned down so much advertising because I don't want to I only use the companies that I use.
Yeah.
I don't want to bullshit people. So
Just same with me at my shop.
yeah, right. You have to. The stuff you endorse has to be good because it's on your stuff.
My dad trained me, if you want to do your best, use the best.
Right.
So I use the best.
What's your company? What's your paint company now?
BASF.
Yeah, you have your own line of BASF. Yeah, it's good, man. And then where can I get Foose wheels if I want to buy some Foose wheels?
Well, that was originally MHT.
Right.
And MHT and Wheel Pros have merged.
Okay.
So Wheel Pros is now producing and selling Foose wheels.
Okay. Are you still doing new designs all the time?
Yes.
Good. Anything cool coming out?
Of course not.
Here's the thing.
That took a turn. I thought it was going to be, of course.
So that's got to be impossible to be able to design a wheel. You have one pallet.
It has to be
You have one
this
pallet.
shape.
You have one pallet. It does have to look good. I mean, you can do a lot of shit in the circle, but it has to, and your hot rod sensibility.
Well, there's so many different wheels. There's face mount wheels. There's
Right.
deep dish wheels. It's the types of cars that you're putting it on. So the ideas are easy. It's what you do with the ideas that's difficult.
Right. And sometimes a great design on paper, you put it on and it's got to wrap around the brake caliper so it looks goofy when it's made.
So a lot of times they're just saying, we need some wheel designs for 2007 BMW 3 Series. Okay. So I look at that and I'll get inspiration from details on the car. And I'll pull a detail and create a spoke. And, then next time they're saying, okay, we want an 85 square body C10 pickup. Okay. So I'll look at, what's the section shape of the body itself.
Right.
And I might make a spoke that looks like that. So it's real easy to come up with a new idea.
Creating a motif.
Cheating. So it's called cheating.
Yes.
Is that okay? I just want to make sure.
Getting inspiration, looking at something to get inspired.
Right,
Yeah.
cheating.
You know? Yep.
That's what I do. Actually,
Cheating.
I was writing. I was writing a new show. By the way, I'll be in Florida in the Jacksonville Comedy Zone this week, doing my new show. Apologies in advance. And it's so fun to be able to I wrote this bit of white supremacy. Well, to write that bit, I have to go and Google white supremacy and then read about white supremacy. Now we thought, what's going to happen when they actually pull my Google search?
Oh yeah, we
Like, Titus was a terrorist the whole time. You know, I'm looking.
It's
I know. I'm looking. This one's got white supremacy in it, where I kind of tear that apart, and I go after a bunch of stuff, and I just realize I'm looking up crazy shit for the Armageddon update too.
Yeah.
Sometimes for the Armageddon update, I'll look up insurrection, and I'll be looking. We'll do a gun one.
I'm a little bit concerned that no one has knocked on this door.
I'm
From
not
all the
going
things,
far
like,
enough.
hey,
Everything's weird, man. Everything's weird. Who's this? Oh, white privilege card trumps everything. Wow.
white privilege card.
Card.
Oh, card.
My shop manager sent me that the other day. His
my
picture of one.
That's
So you went. So you got a new girl now. She's
Yes.
because we're a little lefty on this show. We're a little lefty.
Yeah.
I pulled after Obama. They kept going. I figured out why I got like that. I figured out what was the moment I decided to A, care about politics, and B, get involved in it with the podcast. It was the day Mitch McConnell said we're going to make Barack Obama one-term president. Like they didn't know the guy, didn't know his policies, just said because he's a black guy we're doing. I thought that's bullshit. That's not part of America. You should be part of like solution, you know. You don't have to agree with the guy.
Everybody's equal.
Right. But it was that was like, okay, this is fucked up. So I started then I got into over the years of Obama. And then when Sweet Potato Hitler got elected, I was like, how did this happen? How did we get this guy who was, and so I got really deep into it. And now I'm kind of in the weeds of it. And then, so by the way, and I don't care that anybody's right wing. My aunt and uncle who I just stayed with up in Northern California. I got to talk about that show too. They're right wing, and I get along fine with them. We're fine. I've got friends that are right wing. You're right wing. Well, I wouldn't say it. You don't give a
neutral.
shit. Yeah, you don't. Chip doesn't really give a shit. Is it cool? Is a car there? Can I work on a car? Are they going to stop me working on cars? No. Okay, then I'm good.
I'll support everybody.
But your lovely new girlfriend, you sent me a picture. I said I was saying something.
You only saw one side of we made cupcakes for both sides.
You did?
Yes.
Oh, really?
To see which ones were eaten.
Oh, that's great.
So I show up and there's
You
cupcakes.
only saw one side
and there
of
was
the
and he sends me this picture of Trump cupcakes, and part of my first reaction that was when Trump was really
I got belittled for it.
You know how amped I got about stuff. I was like, motherfuckers had a Trump cupcake.
Was there a wall between them?
So I wanted to apologize for that.
No, I thought it was funny.
But he's like, Jesus, Titus is a little.
I'm not touching this one.
So can I'm gonna talk
I saw what happened when somebody changed the night he was being aired.
Oh man, that was. I want to apologize for that day because I was so psychotic, and I realized that television eats. And it's funny because years later you had gotten overhauling, and I called you and we talked, and you were amped about overhauling. You were like, as amped as you get. You were like, it's just hard. I'm busy. Everybody's up my ass because overhauling was so popular. I mean, it still is. You still get drug all over the place. But at the peak of a show, I've been there where it's just like they just go, gotta go here, interview this, make these phone calls, 10 things. Oh, by the way, and all that shit you do on the show, do that too. So I was writing the show prominent. He was like building shit all day long. Then he had to do the pranks, right? And
doing the pranks.
And he's got to go to car shows where he's getting appearance money, and he's got to leave, and he's on planes. Like you got how burnt were you at one point?
I remember there was an 11-month straight that I was never home on a weekend. And I came in and I told Lynn Stout, my office assistant, I said, I want 1 weekend home every month. Just block one out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I missed 5 years of both my kids growing up.
Yeah.
When we did the first 5 years of overhauling, and I thought, I don't ever want to be that busy again.
I remember.
So then I started going home.
Yeah.
And everybody was busy at home. I just sat by myself watching TV. I thought,
and now he's getting divorced. So maybe they were glad you were gone. That's how I felt about my ex. So I told you once. I said, hey, because you were kind of freaked out about how busy you were, and I said, enjoy this. Look around, enjoy it. Don't be mad, because I didn't.
I said the same thing to the guys at Gas Monkey Garage.
Did you?
Look what happened.
Yeah, because it takes 15 years to get there, and it takes 15 seconds for them to go, hey guys, you're canceled. Click. like it's so 50.
We're on to something new.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you're not as popular as we wanted you to be. Yeah, those guys were huge. I was just thinking of him the other day.
Yeah, Richard's a good guy.
Yeah,
and Aaron was fantastic.
Aaron's you get that Aaron's a Zen master. He's the Gandhi of hot rodding, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, Richard's a good guy. But was he playing a character sometimes?
You know, it's funny. I met Richard and Aaron both in Detroit,
Right.
and I thought they both worked on cars. And I liked their vibe. I liked what they were doing. Richard told me about how he was creating this Gas Monkey clothing line, and they were building cars and all this stuff. And I said, "You want to be on Overhaul?" So Richard and Aaron both show up on the set, and I'm working away, and all of a sudden somebody comes over and says, "Hey, what's Richard doing?" And I look over, and Richard's just kind of standing, watching everything that's going on. Aaron's underneath the car. He's working. He's got grease from head to toe already, and
he's legit.
He's busy.
Yeah.
And I walk over to Richard and I said, "You gonna help on the car?" He says, "Oh, I don't work on cars." He says, "I'm, I run the shop, but I don't work on the cars." And I said, "Well, what do you want to do?" He says, "Well, I could help hosting." I said, "Well, let me talk to Bud." So I go grab Bud Brutzman, and he comes over and he says, "You don't work on cars?" And he says, "No, I don't work on cars." He says,
By the way, this is a room full. By the way, the overhauling set was insane. Packed with like all the guys from the kicker guys to whoever was there.
Everybody's there.
Everybody's
Well,
there.
here's
And
what we do on this
and
show.
these aren't just car guys. These are guys that make the parts, do the research to fit for fucking car guys.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
are the and to have one guy there, they go, "You don't work on cars?" Like everybody walked up. "You don't work on cars? You don't work on cars? You don't work on cars?" Oh shit.
But I love Bud and the way he worked. Bud just walks up to him. He says, "You don't work on cars?" "No." And Richard and Aaron are both from Texas. And Bud says to Richard, "You have any friends here in L.A.?" "Yeah, I got a lot of friends in L.A." "Why don't you go party with them and show up on day 8 and take Aaron home?"
By the way,
That's what happened.
That's why I can get along with Bud, because I'm kind of like that too.
Bud just cuts to the chase.
Yeah.
We
I
don't
have
need you here
time-
if you don't work on cars.
We don't have time for you.
Yeah.
Well, I've never seen a
But-
guy get more done faster than Bud Brunsman. That he's a
Yeah.
great producer. He's done. I think I'm driven. I'm on my 10th comedy special. Compared to Bud Brunsman,
Yeah.
I am a sloth. That has a tequila hangover.
Bud and I are about the same way when it comes to getting things done.
Yeah.
Bud, in the first episode, we did that 71 Chevelle.
Yeah.
And Bud was there. I did the whole week with no sleep. But the final day when we were getting that thing, we're just about finished, but there's no exhaust system on this car yet. I'm building the exhaust system, but Bud was right there with me every step of the way, and he helped me to get that done so we could reveal that car.
Yeah.
And then Bud found MagnaFlow and brought Richard Waiters in, and that was the biggest godsend for me is,
You don't know how to do it anymore.
yeah, the exhaust was, I'm looking for tubing to build something so
Just
we can
plug
put
and
an
play.
exhaust.
It was just-
I'm using old parts and I'm cleaning
Right.
them up.
Got to go to Home Depot. And we got to get some galvanized. Get some galvanized. We're gonna do something.
And Richard comes in and it's like, oh, we got a kit for it.
Yeah.
Boop, boop, boop. All done. I'll see you tomorrow.
Wow,
I'll be back for the reveal.
man. So what's next, man? I mean, you've had a show. You're doing Bud's new show, which is called what? You're doing
Fully
design?
torqued.
Fully
Bud
torqued?
has another shop, and
You're doing design for that.
I'm just doing some sketching and helping Bud. Well, Bud called me and asked if I wanted to, work with Wheel Pros and supply the wheels for the car. And I'm thinking, well, what do these cars look like? So I made the mistake of saying, who's designing them? Bud says, we don't have a designer. You want to do it? I thought, yeah, I'll keep my name out there. I'll throw some marker on paper and give you some ideas. And
There you go, man.
Yeah, and we're doing the wheels for him.
Because honestly, I've never seen anybody. You can just fart out designs all day long. I've never seen.
Yeah, there's like
And how
brilliant.
many-
Yeah.
There's another one. Wow, and then you go, wow.
Who's this guy?
What is the I'll tell the story about this gig first. What you've done Eddie Van, you did a car for Van Halen? No, you not for
Yeah.
Eddie Van Halen. You did a car for Van Halen,
Yeah, we did Eddie Van Halen. We did his trucks when I was at Boyd's.
right?
We did a 55 for Alex Van Halen.
Yeah,
But Michael Anthony, the bass player,
that's the one
I've
you
done about 5 cars for him. In fact, we've got his 34 Roadster that we did 28 years ago at Boyd's. That's in the shop now. We're just freshening it up.
did. Wow.
And then he says he's going to bring the 40 in that we did.
The list of people you've built cars for is insane. Some of the people that
I've been lucky and blessed
Yeah.
to work for the people
And-
that I have worked for. And
And also people with money and that are excellent at their jobs find you because you are the best. You're blessed and the best.
Well, thank you. My dad said it best. He says, you're only as good as your customer allows you to be. And I have had some amazing customers.
I'm not a customer anymore, just so you know. Because he was like,
Yeah, but we built a pretty cool car for you.
Dude, that car is still it's one of the baddest ass all Corvette suspension. You know what I want to talk about real quick? Because I want to tell you what happened on the gig this week, and I'm going to talk about Florida. I want to talk about what do you think about because it's the combustion engine is on its way out. It'll be around. I'm saying it'll be around in the sense of there'll be Camaros and there'll be Corvettes. There'll be stuff that's more vintage. But after driving the Tesla S, I'm like. Yeah, I was like anti-electric car. Then I drove, and I was like, "This thing,
amazing.
This thing will stomp anything."
Yeah,
like guys
it's a muscle car.
in Vets and Ferrari stopped looking at me. They just like when I first got it, they were like, and whoa, gone because it's so fast. And then they stop now. They don't know it.
Brian Fuller's building a '69 Cougar convertible with all Tesla running gear in it. He's calling it Sparky.
Wow, awesome.
And I thought it would be really fun to build one, but I'd call it Conductor.
There you go.
Ooh.
So I have an idea already. I looked it up. I did the measurements already. It's got to be wider, but a 51 Merc is within 1 inch wheelbase wise of the chassis and everything. Like
when
you
do
did.
Start this.
Well, I got my new agents. They have a plan about a year. 51 Merc or a shoebox Chevy that the wheelbase is almost exact.
Yeah.
It's really close, and both cars would need to be sliced.
Did you measure the track
and opened? They both need to be opened a little bit,
right.
which would just make them look better.
Yes,
it would just make them look lower.
What I would do is I'd leave the windshield and all the daylight opening,
right,
the top, stock width, and just bring the body out.
So like on the 57, just like make the fins like pull it out like that.
Yeah.
Well, what about the width of the doors though? You'd have to.
No, the top of the doors.
Oh,
would
on
roll
a 56, you could just round it more. You could actually hide it.
It's a wide body, but the interior is the same.
But you wouldn't notice it because of the way 55, 56 rolls.
It rolls, but yeah, you
could still pull it off, but it's 4 inches, so 2 inches each side.
Yeah.
See, I couldn't make it look goofy. Like there's other cars that have gone too far. Were you involved in?
I don't think it'd look.
Were you involved in Shazoom?
No, I did Boyd Air. That's the one that I did,
clean,
the convertible that, the whole thought behind that car was, what if Chevrolet was playing with the 59 proportions in 57?
So you did a 59 Chevy chassis with a 57 body on it.
Yes.
By the way, you're great with proportions, man. I've seen some of this. That Impala you built that won the Ridler. So this is what he did. He took a 65 Impala and he put it on the chassis of a Z06 Corvette.
It was a regular Corvette because I wanted a steel chassis. The Z06 has an aluminum chassis, and I wanted to weld the body to the chassis, so I went with the regular Corvette.
Because that's the difference? I didn't know. I thought they all had aluminum chassis.
No, regular Corvette was steel.
So 65 Impala, Corvette, new Corvette.
New one.
We stretched the Corvette chassis 7 5/8 inches and shortened the Impala body almost 16 inches.
And okay, so that would look stupid, right?
Now it's the proportions of a muscle car, not the big cruiser that it was.
You're making it sound too simple. There's all these angles and shit to do. I went and saw that car.
For him,
it was like they cut.
Did it in his sleep.
When they presented the car at the show at the Ridler, there was another drawing of it of where they cut it.
No, I had another car. And on the car, I taped off.
Oh, you had another 65. That's right. I saw pictures.
And I put black tape on all the places
to show where it was
moved.
Yeah.
And then put it all back together.
It's stunning.
Thank you.
How mad was that guy? How much that cost?
What's interesting is he wanted to build that car for his wife, Elma. It was Don and Elma Voth. They drove a 65 Impala on their honeymoon, so obviously he's going to build a 65 Impala for his wife.
Right.
I said, for your wife, let's make it a driver. We're going to take a brand new Corvette, put it underneath.
That's for him. He's underneath.
But here's what's funny
she's
about
on
him.
Top.
He just describes shit. Like, so here's what we're going to do. 65 body.
Mix it up in a bowl.
We're going to put a stock
Thursday. Be done on Thursday.
We're going to put a stock Corvette underneath it. If she has a problem, she can pull into any Chevy dealership, plug it into the computer, know it needs to be replaced, and be on her way. You do not want to give a woman a hot rod that's going to have problems. She's stuck on the road. She's never going to drive that car again.
Hashtag me too. Women are fine. Women can fix stuff. Women are great.
So we get building this car, and now there's two different cars. This is the driver. It's a stock Corvette underneath this thing.
Yeah.
We're midway through, and Don says, let's take it to the Ridler.
Yeah. So
Wait a minute.
Because explain the Ridler to people, because people that don't are some of the listeners that maybe aren't as far into cars. You gotta explain what the Ridler is, because it is.
Here's the way I describe it.
Epitome of car shows beyond the shit you guys did for the Ridler. I would watch it and my brain would hurt.
First of all, the Ridler is you're building a piece of art. And the way I describe the judging is they look for the worst 2-inch square on the entire car. And there's 8 finalists, the grade 8.
Out of how many cars usually?
Sometimes there's 20 to 30 that are competing for the Ridler.
Right.
They narrow it down to 8, and then they try to find the worst 2-inch square on the whole car. And the car with the best of the worst 2-inch squares wins. So you have to detail every single inch.
Right.
And every single piece needs to be a piece of art.
Yep.
Now he just said, let's take this to the Ridler, which is a factory stock car underneath. That is not a piece of artwork. That's production brackets, tubes, lines, brake lines, every single component.
Shitty welds, not finished welds.
Nothing is finished.
And they're judging underneath. It's not just.
Oh no.
Yeah,
no,
when we
it's
build
they
a car,
they got mirrors in the
Yeah.
Ridler. They have guys crawling over the. Yeah, it's insane.
you're finishing things inside of holes because the floor is polished so nice. It works like a mirror and you'll be able to see inside that hole. So you don't want dry spray in that hole. You're finishing and building every single inch so that I don't want a judge to even see dry spray somewhere.
It's maddening.
Yes.
So you're making it more
This
difficult.
6 years on a car to build.
Yeah. Oh my God. Right.
So I've won it 4 times with cars that we built at our shop.
Is anybody else won it more?
No.
So
I've been involved with 6
Wow.
winners, but we built 4 of them at my shop.
That's a goat, mother. You're the goat.
Well, thank you. But when he said he wanted to take that car to the Ridler, I was no. There is, and I.
You don't have enough money. Yeah. No, how do you know? I just know.
This is a production car. Now we
Yeah.
took, and we put this car in a rotisserie, and we started taking every single component, starting with the A-arms, and working down to every single bracket, and redressing it, still using the original parts,
Yeah.
but turning everything into a piece of art.
So you basically had to shape and grind and make everything perfect.
Yes. Cut metal away from frame and put pieces in. So it's a bracket that still does the same job that the other one did, but we're completely hand
But it looks like
building a
sculpture.
bracket and welding it into the frame and making it smooth. And yes, it's a sculpture. So the bottom of the car is just as beautiful as the top.
And,
Wow.
and
So you had to undo some things because you had
there
because you're
was
starting
more
from
work.
something that's already there that you weren't intending to
It took
It's
compete with.
easy when you build something from the
scratch.
beginning
Yeah.
to make everything beautiful.
No, going in knowing that.
Now we had to go back in and change absolutely every part of
and
that
on
car.
top of that, he'd already taken this 65 Impala and shrunk it down to a Corvette size and made it look proportionately right. That's impossible.
But it's to the point where,
I remember laughing out loud when he told me when I heard you were doing this.
you know, the wheel tubs in the car, you don't ever want to attach a piece of metal to the outside skin. So what I did on the wheel tubs, the inner fenders, is we built everything out of sheet metal, but the quarters on the car, I bought 2 more quarters and then shrunk those, got them down to where they fit inside of the other quarter. So just the wheel well is where we attach this.
Right.
And then cut it as an arc and then radiused it and put it back into the wheel tubs. So when you were underneath the car and you're looking at the wheel tub and the outer skin, it looked like the outer skin of the car, but the inside finished and painted and polished.
So wait. So you actually double walled the.
I double-walled the whole
double
quarter.
walled the quarter with another quarter.
With another
so
quarter,
looked
so it
brand-
was only welded on the wheel.
So other master sculptors only had to think about the exterior. You have to think about
but
functionality,
that's what-
engineering, 3 dimensions.
Yeah,
That's
because-
why. So we never once showed my 56 because of this reason. I never showed it. I never showed it once. I always drove to shows in it, but I never was like entered it in anything because I just didn't. By the way, under my
I've
car,
never competed
it was,
with one of my personal cars.
Yeah, it was finished. It was
I've
finished.
Displayed them.
Yeah, I didn't. I was just like, I don't. I don't want some guy going, "Oh, it's dirt right here." I just don't. I just don't want a guy. Let me tell you about this gig. I tell you about this gig. And guys, I'm going to be at in Jacksonville this weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Come see the new show. Also, Carrying Monsters is on my website now, ChristopherTitus.com, chipfoose.com, chipfoose.com.
Yeah, I believe so.
Foose, you don't know anymore. I don't know.
It's the artist formerly known as Foose.com.
I'm going to have to ask the judge. And Highlander's got an album coming out. Here's the gig I do this weekend. So COVID is starting back up. Gigs are starting back because of COVID, right?
Yes.
COVID's over. I'm vaccinated. I told my agents I didn't work for 14 months except we did shows here. And we did them online and people got to stay home. And we did it because I wanted people to still have a night out and not, go get killed, go die from this disease. So my first gig, my agent's like, you're booking it's in Oakland near Jack London Square. Well, Jack London Square is a nice area in the Bay Area. It's a nice area. Well, this is near Jack London Square. I show up to this gig. First shows, because of COVID, first shows, I have 2 shows, 6:30 and then I think 8:15. We have to be done by 10 because they're a COVID thing. It's in the worst, it's across the freeway from the worst neighborhood in Oakland. I go there. And I'm thinking, my agent's going, and your agents are like, look, just go. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Don't worry about it. It's in a parking lot. There's
The stage is in the parking lot?
The whole show's in the parking lot.
Okay.
And yet there's no parking for me.
No stage, just on the ground.
Yeah. So there's a stage.
If you're standing in the parking lot, isn't that parking?
Yeah, for me, but my car, not for my car. Cars aren't allowed because we have tables and people in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
So the stage is pointed, the way they had a stage built, and they pointed the stage directly into the setting sun. So I'm on stage in this ball of gas a million miles away that will set my white ass on fire. I have to do an hour show looking directly into it. It's also windy.
I just need to ask if you actually acknowledge this.
Oh yeah, you have to. Yeah. So then it's a windy. We have wind gusts about 30 miles an hour. So I can't use I use my lav mic, so I can use my hands. I have to use a hand mic. We go there, and from the stage, about 30 feet from me, are 4 beautiful porta potties just standing there, and the tables are all spread out,
shit.
and people
are
are there.
warm from the sun too?
Not from the sun. Not
Can
from
you
the sun.
smell them
They
from
were
the stage?
but there's no shade on the stage or anything. The audience is shaded, but there's none on the stage. Then they have lights on too, and I'm like,
This place cares about the audience.
I got on stage and I want everybody to know something. I have certain demands of my contract, and I said I want to be facing directly into the sun. If that sun's not blazing on my white ass, I'm not going up. Then there better be some outhouses that I can see from where I'm doing comedy, and there's 4 of them. Okay, they did that. But if the wind's not blowing, and the microphone, and then before we started the poor opening act, he goes, there's no one to introduce him. The guy just hands him the mic and he walks on stage and the mic doesn't work. It doesn't work. So at this point, I'm at the end, and I get up on stage and I grab the mic out of his hand and I go, just go off stage. And I go and I just stare at the sound guy and I just stare at him. And he's going, oh, and he's flipping out. Finally, the mic works, and I just go, and I basically did a you intro. I was like, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to a parking lot in Oakland. and I introduced the kid, and he did a great show. The audience was so fun because I acknowledged everything. So when I got up and I said, and that microphone better not fucking work, or there ain't gonna be no show. And the audience went nuts. So at the end of the day, everybody who came to the show at Nito's Backyard, thank you so much. It was so good to get on stage after 14 months, and I did a brand new hour. I did a whole new hour of comedy.
That's fun.
And so thank you. It was a good show. Actually, it's the first time doing it in front of a live audience, except for we did it here once. I had 6 people stand up and give me standing ovations at the end. It's all about kind of how life works out. It worked out. I'm getting better at this. My 10 special. So guys, go to Jacksonville,
those are
Florida.
the 6 that you brought with you?
What? Yes.
They're comped.
You
They
get
came out of the
free
bathroom.
Man.
4 of them were still in the
They were
bathroom.
still in the bathroom.
I didn't
Yeah,
really
porta
say,
potties.
the second show, the sun had set. and it was right by the bay. So it got so cold. I went from staring into the blazing sun to freezing. And the second show I walked up,
were
I
you
said,
shivering when you were giving
I had my leather jacket on. I walked on stage and go, well, I think a lot of us have asked ourselves, I wonder what it'd be like if there was comedy during the Donner Party. The audience was great. So thank you guys. Again, this weekend I will be at Florida or in Jacksonville at the Comedy Zone. Please.
That's an actual club.
Yeah.
That's like with walls.
Yeah. What's in a hotel? But it's
The sun isn't inside.
Look, we're just starting back. Okay? We just gave it. I called my agent. I gave my agent shit about it, and he goes. You could just hear him. First of all, he starts laughing, and then he just goes, "Hey man, it's going to be about 3 months till we get everything back to rolling again." Because there's restrictions.
Now, if I was your agent, I would say, "Well, you know where money comes from."
Yeah, exactly.
Other people,
Exactly.
and you just got their money.
Yeah. Did they pay you? Shut up. By the way, he did. He gave me on my text. He gave me literally like 3 paragraphs of like kind of an apology and explaining it. And I said, "Oh, thank you." I said, "I would have also accepted quit being a pussy, get on stage, and quit bitching."
Shut your mouth. It's a pandemic. Just get on stage.
It was always Adam's a good guy. He was almost too nice. But guys, and thanks for watching and listening. And dude, that you came down to do this is really a big deal. People who are fans of Overhauling and stuff. Richard. You said Richard's. I'm not going to say
the first show I've done since COVID.
Wow.
Oh.
Well, we're both vaccinated. I would say Richard, like you said, Richard's great. He was a great personality. I've seen you push people aside to fix something right, whether it's painting or you know the great thing. You are always legit. Welding, bodywork, design. I've seen you just cut into something where I'm like like he'll just pick up like a wheel. What are you doing? And then it ends up looking cool. And color pick, dude. There's been times we've had arguments over color. You picked a color on something, the wagon. I'm gonna use purple. I go, no, lime green. I was like, don't fucking lime green. It doesn't even look me. And then you put it on. I was like, oh, I was wrong.
Oh, you were right.
I'm gonna go write a joke. A guy who builds cars for a living.
Remember when I called you and I pretended to be the mayor of Gilmore?
No, what was this? I remember this. Wait.
Because the Garlic Festival was coming up, and I pretended to be the mayor of Gilmore, and I wanted you to do
Gilroy,
yes.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, and I left you my phone number, but you never called me.
Yeah, I actually I remember I had this conversation. When was this? How long ago was this?
This is back in like.
I was still with my ex. I was still with my ex, right?
This was right after Boyd's because I was working at Canepa Design.
I went to
San Jose.
I went to my ex at the time. I was married to her, and I said, "I'm not fucking working the Garlic Festival." I remember this.
Wow.
I was driving.
That's good.
I was driving through Gilroy, and I saw Garlic Festival and the dates and everything else. So I just grabbed my cell phone. Yeah, there's so and so, and I want you to do the Garlic Festival on such and such dates, and please call me back.
Nope.
And I gave you my phone number, and you never called me. And it's like 2 months later, I said, "Hey, did you ever get a call from the mayor of Gilroy to do the Garlic Festival?" Yeah.
Didn't call back. Nothing. Nope, not doing it.
You are booked at the Garlic Festival in a month.
Yeah, I'm doing it now. Yeah. And I got to
to
stare into the sun because my contract will be followed.
Well, if you wear garlic, you don't get COVID.
or vampires.
Right.
There's no vampires at the Garlic Festival. Anyways, guys, go to foosedesign.com for the wheels. Well, what's the name of the wheel company again?
That's Wheel Pros.
Wheel Pros, man. Some of the badass stuff. Your album is going to be on Spotify.
iTunes, with the Willing Bureau.
Willing Bureau.
Check it out.
I didn't say it again. See, I didn't. Also, go to ChristopherTitus.com for Carrying Monsters, and I will see you guys in Florida for the next show. For myself, the GOAT, Chip Foose, and the Highlander.
Thank you for having me.
Dude, thanks for being on, man.
It's a pleasure.
It's been an honor.
It's you got a little bit in the weeds. Some of you will be like, "What are we talking about?" Go look it up.
They were amazing looking weeds, though. How you shape them. And
go look at the stuff he builds, man. You're going to be like, "Holy shit!" But thanks for watching, and for myself, Chip Foose and the Highlander. Later. You guys say goodbye in your own way.
I have to?
Yeah, your own way.
All right. See ya.
Okay.
there could be only one.
Peace.